Hello, Graham. You are up last, sir.
About
Graham, where are you playing out of?
Old Faithful, Caesars, Southern Indiana,
2-5?
2-5. We literally just converted the game from 2-5 to 2-5 winner straddle, which has a higher cap and is kind of like a rock setup where the winner of the previous hand straddles
Right.
10 or more. So the cap for that is 2K. Nobody had really chipped up yet, so we're at 1100 effective for this hand.
So it's a 2K cap. And then what is it normally, a 1K cap?
Normally 1K.
So it just changed to 2K cap, 1100 effective. So Rock Straddle is, I was accustomed to playing at PLO in LA where we played 5-10 Rock all the time. So whoever wins the previous hand has to straddle for 10. Do they put the chips, do they actually have a rock where they you put the chips like in a rubber band?
I've begged them to do that, but they do not.
Oh, they don't do that.
So sometimes the dealer has to look around and be like, "Who won last hand?" And
Right. Because the way that we used to do it is we used to put $10 and wrap it in a rubber band and it would just go around. And now, so when someone's got the rock, does it go in order to the left of that guy?
it's like Mississippi straddle, yeah. So direct left.
But he doesn't have ultimate last action or anything. I
No.
mean, he's just okay. He's all right. So it's standard rock straddle. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2-5 plus 10 rock straddle, 1100 effective. Okay.
For this hand, the cutoff has the rock.
All right. So cut off in the rock.
The button limps, and the button is kind of like a loose, sticky player type. I am in the small blind with Queen 10 of hearts, and I open to 60.
So button limps, hero, Queen of hearts, 10 of hearts in the small blind goes to 60. So actually it's a 6x open, but obviously, you've got a straddle in position. The guy's going to be incentivized to call. You always have a limper in position here too. Okay, so you go to 60.
Yeah, I generally do open larger when the straddle is in late position, or when the straddle is going to have position on me post flop, just because I assume they're going to be defending too wide. So
Right. So it's almost pure value, right?
yep. So folds to the cutoff straddle who calls, and then the button limp calls.
All right. So the cutoff straddle calls and the button calls. You said the button's kind of fishy.
No, just kind of like loose sticky. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say fishy, but like whenever he limps here, it's usually with the intention to limp call.
Just limp from the button. Kind of interesting. Okay. So the pot's $180.
Yes.
Okay.
We see the flop three ways. First act comes Queen of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, 7 of diamonds.
So you flop top two on a monotone board.
Yes.
Okay.
I decided to c bet here. I think, our hand is good enough, obviously, to value bet, and we do like getting a little bit of protection. I did go with a small size since we are three ways, so I c bet for 60 into 180.
I mean, I tend to like that. Obviously, monotone boards are kind of a different ilk in the sense that these guys probably will have more flushes than you, so it's supposed to be reflected kind of with a smaller sizing. I have seen people check some pretty strong hands on monotone boards for sort of equity realization. I think top two, yeah, you start to go for value here. I mean, I'm sure you'd bet with sets and stuff like that too, especially like middle set, something like that. What would you do? What would you do with black aces or black kings here?
Three ways, I think I really want to check call with those, just because hands like pocket nines with a diamond have so much equity against me. I think trying to, pot control for a street, because their equity goes down so much. Red nines goes down so much from the flop to the turn.
Right.
So
So it is, you're just kind of revealing the equity of the hand.
yeah, I think it makes sense to check call with those hands. I think like red aces or red kings, you could probably get away with, betting or trying to check raise and get it in, or same thing with like a hand like ace king with the ace of diamonds, ace jack with the ace of diamonds. You could either bet or, check raise yourself.
Those hands are interesting. Those draws like ace jack with the ace of diamonds or something like that. I mean, obviously it's a semi bluff, right? You're trying to get somebody maybe fold out bet fold the queen. I don't know if I would want to I'm not saying mindlessly, but aces with once you start putting in a check raise on a monotone board as the preflop raiser, Yeah, I start to wonder about what are you getting action from. This is not like, you're throwing in a check raise with an overpair on a different type of board, right? With that unblocks top pair. I don't know, like aces with the ace of diamonds. Now, a guy bets and you check raise.
Well, I still think these guys are going to play like a bunch of offsuit broadways, like queen jack with a diamond, king queen with a
And they would
diamond.
continue with those hands?
Probably.
Okay. All right. So queen of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, 7 of diamonds. Again, Graham has queen of hearts, 10 of hearts, and you bet 60. Okay.
The cutoff next act calls and the button folds.
All right. So next act calls, button folds. Obviously, next act should be slightly stronger, not closing the action. Pot now is 300, and you guys have, just under 1,000, right, in your stack?
Yep.
Okay.
Turn is the ace of clubs.
Ace of clubs. So queen of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, 7 of diamonds. Turn is the ace of clubs. The reason why I say is because king jack now comes in. If someone had the ace of diamonds plus a pair, they would have aces up. If they just had naked ace of diamonds, they would have top pair. But this is one of the things that people don't. It's quite easy to understand when you start to think about it. But remember, like, there was a limp and then the cutoff just called. How often does someone just have the ace of diamonds offsuit on a queen of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, 7 of diamonds board? Like, I don't know how wide the cutoff is calling, but if you can sort of follow me, like, Graham made an early position raise. No one's supposed to be in there with ace 9 off, ace 8 off. Maybe like you go down to maybe ace 10 off because he's in the straddle, which of course you're now losing to because that's 2 pair. And then you would think ace king, right, gets 3-bet at some frequency pre-flop, especially with the limper behind. So then you're at ace jack with the ace of diamonds, which is kind of a combo draw. So people might think, oh, I want to get value from the naked ace of diamonds. And my response to that would be, if you look at this configuration in the pre-flop setup, what hand is that?
Yeah, it's not many. It's really just ace jack.
Right.
That's really it. I also, even though they did call next act on the flop, I don't really think anybody's folding like ace 10 of spades on the flop to a third c-bet. So aces up outside of just like ace of diamonds X crossed my mind as well.
That's interesting because of multi-way theory, because again, with the guy behind him, you bet 60 into 180. Now, I agree. I mean, I agree with you that they will have these hands. I'm saying, should they have these hands? I'm trying to put myself in the cutoff spot. When you bet 60 into 180 with a guy to my left, obviously heads up, you have to defend, but I don't think I'm continuing on with ace 10 of spades. I don't think it should be a continue. It probably is for most of these guys. But the point that I'm making is that you are not getting, it's not just like I want to get blindly naked value from ace of diamonds off suit. There's just not that many there.
Sure. If I start trying to put all the money in this pot and get called, I'm probably behind.
Yeah. So did you check?
I did check with king jack coming in and aces up. I did not think my hand was worth 3 streets of value, obviously. And I did think this player type would be the type to potentially bet ace of diamonds X once, like for value, and then, potentially, check back the river, happy with, the size of the pot there. So I think queen 10 really just wants to go ahead and check here. I think if I had a hand like, I don't know, Bart, if you had like ace king with the ace of diamonds, I think checking here seems fine too. Cause like, how are you going to get, value from worse other than like king queen with the king of diamonds, right?
Yeah. And there's also too, if you have the ace of diamonds in your hand, there's some value to keeping the other diamonds in the hand too.
Correct. Sure. Yeah. So I check, and just like a live thing, they slid out 2 stacks of red. So they bet 200. They thought for a little bit, but they didn't, think too incredibly long. So definitely a large size.
Not the button. I'm sorry. It's the cutoff, right?
Yeah, the cutoff.
Yeah.
The
So
cutoff.
cutoff bets 200. Wow. Well, could we ever fold here? Now, I know you had said, well, maybe this is the again, because we just went down that rabbit hole of how little ace, just the ace of diamonds. In order for you to be ahead here, he would have to have just the ace of diamonds, like ace jack, right, offsuit, or call with like ace 9, something like that, with, say, like the ace of diamonds. I want to pick up on something that you'd said. I think you said, well, you expect those hands to bet. I think I disagree with you there. I don't know if like ace nine off with the ace of diamonds is just kind of blindly betting 2/3 here, or ace jack.
I might not expect it to bet, 200, but I could
Yeah.
see like ace jack or see something like that bet like, 100 or 150 and then, check back the river and improved.
I mean, obviously, like if you had a set here, right, and you played it this way, I mean, you might not have exactly played it this way. Obviously, you've got way more equity. You'd have 10 outs, right? Or, or something like that to beat like a flush or to beat a straight. Here with queen 10, not only do you only have 4 outs, but you might have some reverse implied odds here too, Graham.
Right, ace 10, ace queen.
Yeah, where you hit a boat and then you're no longer good. So, yeah, man,
I had someone recommend folding to me when I sent the hand history, which I did not really give much weight to in game, but I could definitely see some argument for it, given they continue next act on the flop, and the fact they're really not going to bet like a queen. Like I'd be surprised if someone took Jack 10 off with the Jack of Diamonds and started, running it here. So I didn't really consider fold in game, but I definitely don't think that's the craziest idea in the world.
so you called?
I called.
All right, so hero calls, and now, well, what do you? I guess the thing that you're hoping for is a brick, and it goes check check, right?
That would be nice.
I mean, the brick that he goes check check. It's interesting because if somehow you improve here to, these are always kind of awkward little situations in live poker. Say like the river comes out a queen, so that now, I mean, that's the card that's going to make me feel the best about my hand because ace queen maybe isn't going to be represented as much because it's going to get 3-bet off more often. And then the question then is like, well, if a queen were to come, what do? Do you check and you think, well, I check because flushes are going to bet and straights are going to bet, and then I can just go for the check raise. And then what oftentimes you'll see is king jack just gets scared and then checks behind. And then you're sort of left with a weird.
I think you can like lead block bet. I probably wouldn't lead jam just because it's a pretty big size. I think you can lead for like 300.
You guys have what, like just about a pot size bet left? You have 800 left or something like that?
Yeah, about
Yeah.
7.
All right, what's the river?
River is an offsuit 3 of hearts.
Okay, well, that's the biggest brick in the world, right? So it's queen of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, 7 of diamonds, ace of clubs. River here is the 3 of hearts. Okay.
I check, cut off, assembles all of his chips other than his whites and pushes them forward, and dealer cancels out, and it is 7-10, so it is an effective all-in.
Well, not only so cut off all in for like pot, what, 7-10, all in for 7-10. Here's my issue with this hand too, if you ever were thinking about hero calling, is that if you look at the straight out of one of the small stakes exploits, which I know you know, Graham, if you look at like what is called that is some sort of draw on the flop, and then what is missed, the problem is that it seems like all these draws are somehow paired in some way, where it's just like the ace X, like ace 9 with the ace of diamonds checks back, ace jack with the ace of diamonds doesn't feel like it needs to really do this. So now you're left with what? Like you said, like jack 10 offsuit with the jack of diamonds calling next to act and then starting to run a bluff, or what else would it? King 9. So the other thing too is the hands with the king of diamonds in it are all paired up too. King, queen with the king of diamonds, they have to bet the turn, which I think gets checked through a lot. I think the king of diamonds plus pair, which isn't king jack because you lose to king jack, gets checked through a lot on the turn. It's just very optimistic to think king 10 with the king of diamonds, king queen with the king of diamonds, slides out 200 to run a bluff at the end. I mean, I suppose it's possible, but whenever I get into these spots where I can see that a lot of the drawing types of holdings that you want them to have get paired up and take a showdown a lot, then it's pretty hard. I don't know how I could. I mean, I think the turn is quite interesting. I can't see calling here unless you got like some sort of reason.
Sure. I don't think this guy necessarily 3-bets off jacks with a diamond all the time. So like that's like where some of the bluff combos can come from, I guess. But I mean that's like 3 combos, and I can't really find a bunch of other bluffs that make very much sense.
Somebody in the live chat said, well, now he's repping flushes only. I disagree. Well, I think King Jack should do this too, right? I mean, you raise
He
pre-flop.
has to have a diamond, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you fold?
I tried to
Uh-oh.
get a bit of a live read. I kind of stood up and I was talking to him and I said, "Man, I don't see how, my hand could be good here." I hinted that I had a set and the board ran out weird and he stayed, pretty stoic.
Well, wait
So
a minute. So Nate in the live chat says Graham has one of those faces that you just want to jam on or bluff out. You have to take that into consideration as well.
people like to try and punk me. So I mean, the other thing is like this guy, he like went busto, I think, last year, and really I've not seen him play 2-5 like at all. So I did think that if he was putting all the money in, I could generally assume he had a hand that wanted to get called because I didn't really think he, was rolled for the game necessarily. So that was another thing that really helped me. I was already leaning towards fold, but I think combining that with the fact that I think this dude's unlikely to bluff off all of it, I think you just have to fold. I think I'm in a really bad spot against like 250 or 300 on the river because that feels just as milky. But
So you did
I did
fold?
end up putting the fold as played, and I tried to guilt him into showing a bluff one time, but he did not take me up on it. So yeah, I really didn't think about turn fold very much in game. I really thought it was a spot to call turn to evaluate the river, but interesting. You and another friend I sent it to both had that thought. So good for me to look at that next time.
Also, too, I think the fact that he doesn't show you, I think I wouldn't even think twice. I think you made a good fold on the river. I just think that he would want to show your face, the bluff, right?
Maybe this guy's back to playing 2-5 all the time now, and I'll get a chance to get it back. But
Yeah, that's just a dirty turn card for you. Thank you very much, Graham, on late notice for calling it in. Appreciate it.